The air was crisp as I stepped into Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan's capital, a city where Soviet blocs meet the towering Tian Shan Mountains. I came not just for the landscapes, but to understand a tradition often sensationalized as the $35 wife market. The reality is far more complex, woven with history and emotion. In rural heartlands, hospitality is legendary. Tea, warm smiles, and invitations into yurts. Here, I hope to unravel the truth behind the headlines, a custom both cherished and controversial, misunderstood by outsiders. My goal was to explore this divide with sensitivity and an open mind. The so-called $35 wife is a misleading phrase that oversimplifies a deeply rooted and nuanced tradition in Kyrgyzstan. Contrary to what the name suggests, this is not a market transaction. There's no public sale of women, no stalls or auctions where brides are bought and sold. The sum, known as kalim, is a symbolic payment. Historically, it was paid in livestock, representing the value and respect for the bride's family. Today, it's often a token amount of money, meant to honor tradition, rather than serve as a price tag. Kalim is not a purchase, but a ritual that binds two families together. It signifies mutual consent, respect, and the beginning of a new relationship between households. In its intended form, the process involves a series of family meetings, heartfelt gift exchanges, and joyful celebrations, far removed from any notion of a cold, commercial transaction. But the reality is more complicated than the tradition's ideal. In recent years, the term has become entangled with the troubling practice of non-consensual bride kidnapping, a crime that has sparked national and international concern. Sometimes, a man abducts a woman against her will, then offers a token kalim to the family in an attempt to legitimize the act, blurring the lines between tradition and coercion. This confusion, between a consensual, respected tradition and a violent, non-consensual crime, lies at the heart of the ongoing controversy and debate within Kyrgyz society. Understanding the distinction between these practices is vital, not only for outsiders, but for the future of Kyrgyz culture itself. To understand these customs, we look to Kyrgyzstan's nomadic past. Marriages were strategic alliances, arranged by elders to ensure survival. Kizala Kachu, to take a maiden and run, has roots in both romantic elopement and tribal raids. Sometimes, it was a staged escape for couples in love. Other times, a violent abduction. Over centuries, the practice shifted, sometimes romanticized, sometimes feared. Soviet rule suppressed these traditions, but they survived in rural areas. After independence, old customs resurfaced, both good and bad. Today, the legacy of Kizala Kachu is deeply contested. Its meaning depends on who tells the story. In a quiet village nestled near the shimmering shores of Lake Issyk-Kul, I met Anurbek and Gulmira, a couple whose lives have been intertwined for over 40 years. Their faces, weathered by time and laughter, tell a story of endurance and partnership that has spanned decades. Their marriage was arranged in the old tradition. Kalim, the bride price, was paid in livestock, a gesture that signified not just a union between two people, but a bond between families, a matter of honor and respect in the community. Sheep and cattle changed hands, marking the beginning of a new chapter. Gulmira recalled, "I was nervous, but I trusted my parents' wisdom. At first, we were strangers, but over time, love grew quietly between us, like a seed taking root in good soil." Her eyes sparkled with the memory, a gentle reminder that affection can blossom in unexpected ways. For many elders in Kyrgyzstan, marriage is less about fleeting romance and more about building a foundation, family, stability, and the continuation of tradition. It is seen as a partnership that weathers storms and celebrates joys together. A respected village elder explained, "The family sees with clearer eyes than the heart. The rituals and customs are what hold us together generation after generation. They are the glue of our society." Yet, as the world changes, younger voices are beginning to challenge these long-held beliefs. The winds of change are blowing through the valleys and mountains, carried by the dreams of a new generation. Igor, a university student in Bishkek, told me, "This is not our way anymore. My future is my choice, not something to be decided by tradition or by others. I want to choose whom I love and when I marry." She stands firm in her conviction, rejecting the idea that the customs of the past should dictate her fate. For Egil and many like her, tradition is something to be questioned, not blindly followed. But not all stories are hopeful. I also heard stories of pain and loss. One woman, who was abducted and pressured to stay, shared her heartbreak. They stole my life. It wasn't a marriage. It was a cage. I lost my freedom, my dreams. Her story is a stark and haunting reminder of the dark side of these practices, where tradition can become a prison rather than a source of comfort. For some, tradition is a source of deep pride and identity. For others, it is a tool of control, used to silence and confine. The divide between generations is clear and growing. Some see duty and honor, while others see defiance and the hope for change. The voices of women, both old and young, reveal the complexity and nuance of Kyrgyz marriage customs. Their stories are layered, filled with both joy and sorrow, hope and regret. These stories are not just about tradition, but about the ongoing struggle for agency, dignity, and the right to shape one's own destiny. They are about the courage to question, to remember, and to dream of something different. The reality is never as simple as the headlines suggest. Behind every statistic and news story, there are real people, real families, and real choices being made every day. In every yurt and every cafe, the debate continues. About love, about duty, about the meaning of freedom and the future of tradition in Kyrgyzstan. Legally, forced marriage and abduction are crimes in Kyrgyzstan, punishable by prison. Yet in rural areas, custom often outweighs law. Police hesitate, families pressure victims to stay silent. The line between consensual arranged marriage and criminal abduction is dangerously blurred. Some claim Kiz ala Kachu is symbolic and consensual, but critics say this masks coercion. Female relatives often pressure abducted women to accept marriage, using arguments of fate and honor. This psychological pressure makes true consent nearly impossible. The key issue is consent. When tradition is enforced through abduction, it becomes a human rights violation. The language of culture is too often used to justify violence. Change is coming to Kyrgyzstan, and it is being led by a new generation of Kyrgyz youth, especially young women, who are boldly stepping forward and refusing to accept the harmful traditions that have held their society back for generations. These young people are not content to remain silent or passive. They are determined to make their voices heard and to demand a better future for themselves and for their country. Armed with education, technology, and the power of social media, they are challenging deeply rooted patriarchal norms and demanding that the laws protecting women and girls are actually enforced. They use online platforms to organize, share stories, and rally support, connecting with others across the country and beyond. These activists are not just talking, they are taking action. They run crisis centers that offer shelter and support, provide legal aid to those in need, and campaign tirelessly in schools and remote villages to raise awareness and educate their communities about women's rights and the importance of equality. Storytelling has become one of their most powerful weapons. Survivors of violence and discrimination are bravely sharing their experiences, breaking the silence and the shame that once kept them hidden. Their voices inspire others to speak out and seek help. The tragic 2018 murder of Burulai Turdali Kaizi, who was killed after a failed abduction, shocked the nation and became a rallying cry for change. Her story sparked national outrage, leading to protests, vigils, and a renewed demand for justice and reform. This tragedy forced a reckoning in Kyrgyz society, putting immense pressure on authorities and lawmakers to finally take action and address the issues of violence and forced marriage that had long been ignored. Importantly, young men are also joining the movement. They are rejecting the old ideas of masculinity, standing up against forced marriage, and supporting their sisters, friends, and classmates in the fight for gender equality. The pace of change may be slow, and there are still many obstacles to overcome, but the momentum is real and growing stronger every day. Each protest, workshop, and conversation brings Kyrgyzstan one step closer to a more just society. This new generation is proud of their rich heritage and culture, but they are equally determined to shape a future where equality, respect, and opportunity are available to all, regardless of gender. Over the majestic celestial mountains, a new dawn is breaking for Kyrgyzstan. A dawn filled with hope, Kardonsan, Salbishuradansten, courage, and the promise of real change led by its youth. My journey through Kyrgyzstan revealed the complexity behind the $35 wife headlines. Forced marriage is a crime, but to condemn an entire culture without nuance is to miss the real story. Marriage here is about love, duty, family, and the struggle between past and future. Supporting change means listening to local voices and empowering activists fighting for universal rights. Travel teaches empathy, seeing the humanity behind the headlines. The stories of Gulmira, Aygul, and countless others show Kyrgyzstan's struggle and hope. Let's seek understanding before judgment and support those working for positive change. There's always more to the story than the headline suggests.